Retro Hangover is supported via Patreon by listeners like you. We would especially like to thank patrons Lyle McCarnes, Tony G, Tom the Superhero, Studstill Smash the Milkman, Lucas from Game Over Hell, Mast Keaton, Ozzy Garcia, JC, Megan Caruso, Rick Firestone, Dave Jackson, Jenny E, Retro Overdrive, Soha, The Emperor, Storm Beagle, Matt aka Stormageddon, Van Fernal and B. Ross from Super Garbage Day, Jared Brayland, Randall Quiggle, Raging Demon, Keith Gasper, The Retro Vixen, Eric Guess, Nomad from the Retro Wildlands Podcast, Ash Event, Alan Bingham, Mike the Rep from Backbreaker Gaming, Ryan Player One, Alt, Gary Heather, Low5 Alex, Omi, Makeshift Money, Sega Boy 7, and Riskel. Your continued engagement and generous donations are deeply appreciated. Welcome to The Flight, a consumable curation of champions and catastrophes that is considerate of your chronometer. Yes, in the background, I know Shane is playing the Final Fantasy Victory theme. I don't know what game it's from. I'm sure he'll surprise you all. He's probably hating me right now for even talking about this. Shane, what do you think about that?
Yes, I am definitely not irritated that you've now immediately given me more editing work to do. Hi, yes, thank you, Chris.
Yes. Who can deny the Final Fantasy Victory theme?
It is one of the most iconic fanfares. That is true.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you'll close it out with the theme from Final Fantasy that we all know and love. I promise you, listener, will be here at the end of this show. If not, send your hate mail to Shane at podcast@retrohangover.com.
I mean, that's just inflicting it on you yourself too, because we both see those.
I mean, I'll laugh though.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah.
Please start out the email with "Dear Shane."
Yeah, hold on. Let me just go turn off that inbox real quick.
But why are we saying all this? Because today we're talking about our favorite Final Fantasy characters as recommended by FF Cottage. So thank you, Cottage. We appreciate you. I think this is the first one that Cottage has gotten in this series. So I'm looking forward to this. I mean, FF Cottage is FF characters. This is only the perfect marriage of that. And if you want to suggest topics and vote on them, just go over to our Patreon, which is linktr.ee/retrohangover, and click on the Patreon link, blah, 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 blah. So Shane, I know this is definitely within your wheelhouse. Are you excited to share your list?
Well, contrary to what you're implying, Chris, you know what? I am a little bit. Actually, I am proud of myself, if for nothing else, that I was able to come up with a top 5 that I feel good about, and not just throwing filler characters in there because that's what people think are good. So there you go. But I feel like this is more of your jam. So I feel like I will let you have the last word, which I guess means that I'm going to go first, doesn't it?
It does. So how about you start us out with your number 5?
Number 5.
All right, well, starting off my list is a character from Final Fantasy VI. And that is the one, the only Setzer. I just like his whole thing, man. Like, he fights with dice and darts and like playing cards and shit. He's like a renowned gambler. He's got that, that personality, the sort of devil may care kind of thing. He's very cunning, very shrewd. And, he appreciates a good turn. Like that's when he gets tricked into joining the protagonist party with a double-headed coin. I feel like a lesser man would have gotten angry about that, but he was like, you know what? Respect. And yeah, and he owns his own airship. It's an airship casino called the Blackjack.
Yeah.
He's super cool. Also, sort of tangentially, but I also remember liked using him as a character in those like spin-off Final Fantasy games. Not Tactics, but what the hell was the other one? There was another one I was playing for a while and I can't remember.
Record Keeper?
Yeah, no, well, I did use them in Record Keeper, yeah, but there's another one that I can't remember now. It's not Mobius either, although I did like that one. I don't know, there's been so many. Anyway, nope, not Brave Exvius either, son of a bitch. Well, whatever. Point is, he's cool. So there you go. That's my number 5. He's like the Gambit of the Final Fantasy universe.
I mean, yes. He almost literally is. He's a great character. I was very tempted to put him in my list. He's not, spoiler. Because of the scene from Daryl's tomb, which is the scene that gets me the most from Final Fantasy VI. I don't want to spoil that here. I mean, I'm sure everyone who's listening to this probably knows, but that is an amazing scene, and I think really defines him as a character. I could probably make an entire list of his Final Fantasy VI characters. I didn't. But yeah, I mean, that's a good pick. That is a really good pick. Also, I didn't pick him because I don't like Nomura. That's another reason. And Nomura designed that character. So, all right, my number 5. And I think there's going to be something funny about my list. Is you're going to be Chris, but these are the Final Fantasy games that you say you don't like. Yes. Shut up. So I'm going to start off with my number 5, which is Balthier from Final Fantasy XII, which is probably the shining gem in that game. He has an incredible arc. He has an incredible relationship with one of the villains, which I'm not going to disclose. He has the best attitude in that game. Bosch is a close second. I can't even remember what's the kid's name. It doesn't matter. No one likes him or Pinello. I remember Pinello because she's completely worthless. And Ash is supposed to be the protagonist, but she doesn't have the draw that Balthier does. Balthier has a bunny girl as his woman. And that should be enough. But he goes so far beyond that in being a fleshed out character with deep involvements throughout the world and incredible background for that world. And I wish I shouldn't say I wish he was in a better game because I will get murdered for that. But that was the highlight for me for that game. As many people know, I do not like Final Fantasy XII, but I do like Balthier. I think Balthier is utterly fantastic, and he is my number 5 favorite Final Fantasy character.
Number 4.
All right, well, we are gonna just keep it rolling right into my number 4. And we're slipping backwards in the series to FF5, and I feel like I could potentially mispronounce this. I don't know. Is it Galuf or Galoof?
Sure.
All right, I'm gonna go with Galoof.
Galuf.
Galoof. That sounds fun. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. Why not? Anyway, Galoof. Nope. Now it's gonna sound weird every time I say it. Fine, Galuf. All right, so it's Galuf. He's the old man, but he's like irreverent. He's always pretty jovial for the most part. Plus, his crystal represents hope and like the essence of Earth, and that's cool too. But he's the guy that's like always cracking the jokes and like really shitty dad joke, bad puns, and he's not afraid to be like self-effacing either. He takes jabs at, himself and everybody else in the party. But they're all lighthearted and he means well. He's not normally very openly sentimental, in most cases, but, you can tell just with the way that he interacts with the other light warriors and, like his granddaughter and all that stuff, that he does deeply care about them and, the goings on in the world. So he's just kind of an all-around great guy. He's sort of like a fatherly figure, I think, in a lot of ways. And so yeah, that's why he's on my list.
Fantastic pick, Shane. Fantastic pick. He was on my list at one point. and I don't know why I removed him, because he is, I really do like him as a character. Him and Aerith share a lot in common, except, you know, one died bravely fighting to the death. Wait, can I even say that? Is that a spoiler?
She might have struggled a little bit with that flower or something, right? That might have been
I don't know.
a battle.
I don't know. I'll just say one didn't give up. All right, my number 4 is Squall from Final Fantasy VIII. Look, I thought I hated Squall because that's the popular thing to do, whatever. But then when I played this game most recently, and I started seeing how Squall was designed and how he approached the world and how the world approached him, and I could relate to it. When you're surrounded by what you feel like are totally incompetent people who do nothing but try to appease you, and all you're trying to do is your fucking job. Yeah, I get Squall. I empathize with Squall. I understand Squall. Does that make me sound like I'm having a very high opinion of myself? That's probably not earned or deserved. Maybe, but I get it. I understand where Squall is coming from. I'm like, wow, he's just like me. It's the meme. He's just like me for real. I fell in love with Squall the second time. Well, not the second time, but the first time I went through and actually completed it and really, as like an adult, and looked at everything that was going on. You have to remember, like, he's still a teenager. He's still going through all these emotions. That doesn't take it doesn't take away from the fact that I think, Final Fantasy VIII has some deep flaws with its writing, but I think that actually accentuates my opinions on Squall, is just the incompetencies around him and how they're trying to continuously open him up when he's not open to it. He just wants to work. He just like, it's Monday. It's 9. I clocked in, and you guys are playing a fucking concert with me with the girl who fists dogs. What am I doing with my life? Like, I hate all of you. So yeah, Squall, you are underappreciated. I think you are a fantastic character, and Squall is my number 4.
There were considerations made to have him on my list as well, but I felt like it was an obvious choice, and I feel like I would have gotten called out as like a Final Fantasy poser for putting one of the obvious ones. So
obvious? I don't think he's obvious. I don't think he's obvious at all.
All right. Well, maybe I was mistaken, but I'm glad that you have it. That way we get more coverage this way.
Exactly.
I'm curious to see if and when we have any crossover.
Number 3.
All right, moving into the middle of the pack, which actually, now that I think about it, seems kind of appropriate for this character, because he seems real fucking mid in most cases, even though he doesn't think he is. And that is Gilgamesh.
Really? Oh, nice.
From
pick,
FF5, but also just a shit ton of other games. He is, if you don't know, a collector of weapons of sometimes dubious quality, and is also implied to be, at least like from a lore standpoint, a rift hopping traveler who just kind of shows up anywhere and everywhere to throw down his fantastic one-liners and then get his ass kicked for being overconfident. That's what you get for hubris, I guess. He's just like, especially the first time around, I guess, but he's a very like sort of unexpected like comedy break in a weird way. I just like the vibe of his character. He's like the dumb barbarian, like in a D&D campaign, that is so overconfident in his own abilities, but continually fails and is like very easily tricked into believing that the so-called that this piece of shit is actually some legendary treasure, and he will hear no other opinions about it. Like, that's the vibe that Gilgamesh kind of gives off, and I'm kind of here for it. So, but that is enough. That is enough expository banter. Now we fight like men and ladies who dress like men.
It's morphin' time.
That's right.
Good pick. I kept him off. He was very close, but I was thinking playable characters, and like Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is a gem.
He really is.
Absolute gem with a fantastic theme.
Hell
That
yeah.
might be important for my number one.
Mm.
That last statement. We'll see. All right. My number 3 is definitely going to be a character that's going to be controversial. The people, Final Fantasy fans will riot with this pick. But my number 3 is Yuffie from Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
I adore Yuffie. She is the best character in Final Fantasy VII. Close second is Red 13. Close second is Red 13 because he's a good boy. Really close to putting Red 13 on this list. I hate everyone else. They're edgelords. They're preachy shitheads. They're all a bunch of fucking Gen Xers on fucking Quaaludes, dude. I don't like them. I do not like them. Like they're narcissists from fucking what's that movie? The Big Lebowski. They're the narcissists. That's no, the nihilists. They're the nihilists from the Big Lebowski. Yeah, that's the main cast of Final Fantasy VII, everybody. And the villain for that matter. But I'm gonna get hate. I'm gonna get so much hate for that. That's fine. But Yuffie is the ray of hope in an overall emo game, who has like a really good arc. And I think also Barrett has a really good arc for what it's worth. The fight with Dyne is, and I haven't played Rebirth. I heard there's something in there too, and I think that drives me nuts. But Yuffie has a in a good way. Yuffie has a great arc where she's from the lands, like the allegory for Japan in here, that fought with Shinra and lost, and now they're pretty much a servant nation to everything that's going on. They've lost everything, and she's trying to reclaim the glory of that country that has just been pretty much beaten down into a tourist trap, and she's trying to reinvigorate people's pride. And is she like a little thief, and is she masking a lot of her personal problems and her own insecurities with what she does? Yes, but I feel like she's the most human character in a game that is supposed to be about humanity, and in many ways. And that's why I think I connected so much with Yuffie on my most recent playthrough of Final Fantasy VII PS1. Not talking about Rebirth. Oh, now I'm thinking about Jessie. I could have put Jessie on this list. No, I digress. Yuffie is just one of those characters I like just absolutely fell in love with when I played it that second time. And she's a hidden character. And they didn't have to put that much effort into her. But I was like, this is my favorite character in Final Fantasy VII, hands down. There's no one else that makes me want to see this party win. I don't care about any of them. I hate them all. But Yuffie makes me happy. So Yuffie is my number 3. Really appreciated her in that game and carried me through Final Fantasy VII in a lot of parts. She was in my party when Aerith had her accident, and she was the most emotive of all the characters. Like, it was like, wow. Like, I don't know how that happened, but yeah, there it is. Yuffie, number 3.
Yeah, I'll probably catch a stray for this one too, but like I always kind of felt that FF7 was kind of the equivalent of just like following a group of mall goths on their trip to Hot Topic.
Yeah. Makes sense why it's Keith's favorite Final Fantasy. Shout out to the main quest.
Number 2.
All right. Well, my number 2 kind of honestly shares a lot of character traits with a previous entry on my list upon further review, but I really couldn't not put him on here because he's just such a great character. And that is Saz from FF13. Papa Saz, okay. Man, he's so cool. Like he's like the most level-headed and mature member of the group like by far. He's like the dad. He's like chaperoning almost the rest of these fucking nitwits through most of it. But like, I mean, he's also like just super goofy and fun, especially, you know, in like the face of mortal peril. Like that's his response. Is he's kind of not in the same crass sort of way, but he's kind of like Deadpool, where his go-to is to crack a joke when someone is threatening to kill him, like that kind of a deal. So I really like his vibe, and, you know, not to mention just his like unwavering love for and drive to protect his son. And also the dude's got a baby chocobo living in his hair. How fucking adorable is that? I want that. I want a baby chocobo.
That has to have a lot of hair care. I mean, you have to wash that shit.
I mean,
literally and figuratively.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be worth it, you know, just to have the little chocobo chick just pop out on the top of your head at like the most opportune moments for effect, you know.
Yeah, jump out every single time Vanille moans.
Get a lot of good exercise.
Just all the time. Fuck you, Vanille.
No, Mom, I swear it's just a game.
It's just a game. She's totally 18. Fuck. Final Fantasy 13. Snow is actually really close to making my list. I like Snow, which is another thing. I think, you know, people are like, what? Snow? Yes, I like Snow. Shut up. But Saz is a great character. I like Saz. Saz is a bro.
Yeah, he is.
My number 2, and I almost made my number 2 number 1. That's why they are number 2, is Locke from Final Fantasy VI.
It's a good pick.
There's a lot of characters in Final Fantasy VI that almost made this list, a lot. But I just really had to think, like, there's no character that I think has stood out to me from that game or a lot of the series for most of my life other than Locke. Locke was one of those characters I know it's a popular thing for that game, for people who love that game to gravitate towards Locke as their quote unquote main protagonist. Of course, that could be Celeste, that could be Terra. I never really liked Terra, to be honest with you. I do like Celeste, but I think that Celeste actually accentuates Locke's arc and Locke's character and what Locke is all about, because I'm not saying Celeste is two-dimensional, but I feel like she's more there to make Locke's plot even better. For better or for worse, however you want to take that, right? But the whole entire way that Locke is explained through this game, this is a character with trauma, with issues, and you're just introduced to him as someone who just wants to protect people because he's a good guy. It's a very archetypical, stereotypical protagonist way of approaching things. And then you find out there's actually a reason why he does that. That's not just because he's a good dude. He has like this complex where he feels like he has to do this for reasons. And the overall climax of the explanation for that is one of the most tearful moments in the game. In a game in Final Fantasy VI, which is filled with tearful moments. It's the dynamic he does have with Celeste, and you could kind of put them together if you want to, and I wouldn't be bothered by that. It's just one of the best story arcs that you have, I think, in the series, and it's even more impressive that it was done at the time it was done, on the hardware it was done, and overall just great storytelling. And I think that's Final Fantasy VI. Is how they fit. It's amazing is how they fit so much character development with so many characters into that game on a Super Nintendo cartridge. But Locke to me stood out amongst the pack. Didn't really have any things that ultimately annoyed me, or I think that they kind of disregarded later in the game. I think he is a complete character, and whether or not you believe he compliments Celeste or Celeste compliments him, he is. He's a character that I think a lot of people fondly remember for good reason. So my number 2 is Locke.
Number 1.
Well, I do believe that brings us to my number 1.
It does.
And my number 1, probably not like terribly surprising. I think this is not an unpopular pick just in general. So, but mine has to be the bestest boy, and that is Vivi from Final Fantasy IX. Man,
Yeah.
He's so great. Like he's like lovable, but like shy, but also capable of like incinerating a room when he has to, you know. And I think the reason that I and a lot of people tend to gravitate towards Vivi is because in a lot of ways he's very relatable. Like despite the fact that he is a little, you know, black mage automaton sort of thing, spoiler, I guess, with like no discernible face, he still, you know, the things that he goes through, like I would argue that I think his plot line should have been the main plot line of the game, just in general. Like I think he's a better main character than what we actually ended up with.
It kind of is.
Yeah. And I mean, because it really does like dive into some very existential things, you know, what is life and death? What does that mean to you? Like, especially when you're faced with your imminent mortality, and how do you handle that? Like that's kind of like what shows the world like who you really are. And Vivi kind of comes out of that one being like, you know what? It kind of sucks that like I'm gonna go soon, but boy, I sure did have a lot of fun with all of you while I was here, and I wish it could go longer. Like, man, he's so good. Not to mention also I found out that his character design was at least in part inspired by the Dark Crystals. So that's bonus points for me too.
If the cast didn't look like a bunch of Jim Heads and Muppets, I think I would probably have one or two of them on here. But that's just me. I can't get past it. I'm glad you can.
I mean, it's not David Bowie's Monkey Son, you know, so
The Timu Goku.
Oh man, you know, if that had been a thing back when we did that episode, that might have been a good subtitle replacement for what we had.
Timu
Goku.
All right, my number 1, Shane.
Oh, it's me. Oh, I'm very honored.
No, yeah, it's Shane from Final Fantasy -5.
Sweet.
I know that I've been very vocal about some Final Fantasy games and my dislike for them.
Yes.
And one of those games is Final Fantasy VIII. I have said I do not like Final Fantasy VIII.
You have.
I said the writing is terrible. So this is going to be probably hilarious that my number 1 character is going to be from Final Fantasy VIII, and that is the man with the machine gun, Laguna. Is my number 1 favorite character from a Final Fantasy series. It might just be his theme song. Who knows, right? Because his theme song is fucking rad. But I actually believe that the best parts about Final Fantasy VIII were about him. It was his arc. Every moment that his story was being told in that game, I was like just thinking to myself, oh my God, I want a game with him. I want this game to be about him. He's endearing. He's relatable. He has a team that he communicates with. There's dynamics between them. He has this tragedy where he has this tragic arc where he falls in love with a woman who you know has some sort of feelings back for him, and that's where the song "Eyes on Me" comes from, which you can either love or find cringe or sing at a karaoke bar in Asia. But like then they can't make it work, and then she goes and has to marry a general, and like their daughter is Renoa, and then he moves on and has some tragedies with his own kind of army mercenary whatever he does. I can't describe this all that well, but like with his profession and what he's doing as mostly a mercenary group, and then gets in a situation where he finds another person who he develops a relationship with and falls in love with, and she tragically passes, and she has a daughter that like I think it's her daughter that she had prior to meeting her, and she passes, and their child is Squall. So the child of the woman that he originally loved and made a song about him in Renoa, and the child that he had with another woman that he eventually, another person that he fell in love with, Squall, end up being the love story that is Final Fantasy VIII. And just that entire every single time that he's put on the screen, he's like, this is the best thing about this game, along with Squall and his just the relatability I have with him, which is why I put him up at 4. But I want a game with Laguna. Laguna is just he's so utterly delightful, but at the same time you can't help but feel for him. He is just one of the most fleshed out characters in the entire series, and he's not even a main protagonist. He's not even any final party. He's just set as a backdrop for an explanation for your own main character's generational, I don't know, baggage, and his dog fisting girlfriend's generational baggage. So like, it's, man, I always thought like the theme was cool, but like when I played it again a couple of years ago, I was just so floored with how good the writing was for Laguna's sequences, and how good of a character that Laguna was in a game which writing is completely batshit and terrible. He is one of the best written characters in the entire series. I love Laguna. So Laguna is my number 1 character in all of the Final Fantasy characters. Sorry it wasn't Cloud or Sephiroth or whatever term 4 is when they're kissing and coming all over each other. I'm sorry, Final Fantasy Shojin fans. But it is Final Fantasy 7 Shojin fans. I don't think that's the correct term. I should probably look that up. I'm not going to. But it is Laguna is my number 1.
I think for the most part, we dodged a lot of the like painfully obvious choices, which I feel pretty good about.
Yeah, I mean, the painfully obvious choices are the most painfully boring ones. I didn't avoid them for that reason. I just don't like them.
Yeah, so, that's fair.
Also, honorable mentions, people I left off from the series I wanted to put in there. Rydia was close. Edgar from Final Fantasy VI was close. Sabin was close. Shadow was close. I could just say out the entire Final Fantasy VI cast for all I fucking care. I already said Galoof was close.
What about
Ferris, yeah. A lot of characters that were close. Yuno was really close too. Yuno was. The rest of the Final Fantasy X characters, and I think it's objectively the best game, were caricatures or cringe. But Yuno was great. Anyway, so there's tons of characters I could have included. If yours didn't make this list, go fuck yourself. All right.
And there you have it. All right. What better way to end than on that note? So there you have it. Those are our lists. There are a metric butt ton of Final Fantasy characters at this point. And I think we did a pretty good job of picking some of the real standouts. If there are others that you want to bring up and discuss, I might suggest after you complete Chris's imperative to go fuck thyself, that clean up and then head on over to the Discord. So you could find that along with all our other goodies, whether it's the show itself or our Patreon or the merch store or socials, all the stuff, the things that we have them, and they're at the link tree. So head on over to linktr.ee/retro hangover, and that's where you will find it. Chris, anything that you would like to tack on the end here before we wrap this flight up?
Yeah, watch us stream. If you go to the links.
There you
Twitch,
go.
Sundays,
Watch us or
9
don't.
PM. Yeah, or don't.
Yeah.
If you have anything better to do, I mean, do that. But I mean, we are streaming, so at least lurk.
We are.
Makes us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah, so we are an excellent second screen experience, if for nothing else.
Exactly. For all, we could be in the background while you watch your porn.
Hey, there you
By the
go.
way, Blue Sky has a lot of porn.
It's slowly becoming Twitter.
I mean, yes, it is.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's the anti-Twitter, in the good and bad ways.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this.
Something Batman quote, live long enough, hero, villain, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, on those notes, until the next flight.
Play with your I want to eat a Boko drumstick joystick.
So tasty.